Well, it's time now to get a check when it comes to weather with Nebraska Extension meteorologist Eric Hunt. Eric, we've seen some good moisture when it comes to some specific areas over the past week or so. How are things shaping up, though, as we turn to the week ahead?
Well, thanks, Bryce. Yes, actually, there has been some good precipitation across the state, and this actually is reflected in the drought monitor. We have actually seen quite a bit of improvement. So you'll notice a lot of the panhandle is now free of drought and normal dryness. We actually are seeing eradication of drought across far southeastern Nebraska. But I really want you to pay attention to on the map this week is actually the amount of D4. Now, there's still a lot of exceptional drought on this map. Unfortunately, some places have been exceptional drought for a long time, but there is a significant chunk of eastern Nebraska, so kind of between Seward, David City, Columbus, Schuyler, that area has actually, they're now back in extreme drought. And for some of the places in Colfax and Platte County, that's actually the first time they have been out of exceptional drought since last September. So it's been a very long time coming. This week, we actually saw relatively good precipitation across a lot of the state, and further east into Iowa and Illinois, where they also, in a lot of cases, were getting some precipitation. So a lot of the prime corn and soybean country was getting some moisture this week as well. Unfortunately, Nebraska, with the rains, also came some very high winds. So pretty significant damage reports up around O'Neill and other parts of eastern Nebraska, or down into eastern Nebraska. And, I think quite a few reports of 60 to 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, were fairly common in this area. Also want to draw your attention to some hail that occurred out in the Panhandle last Saturday. This is a picture from Gary Stone out in the Panhandle Research Center. These are sugar beets from Scottsbluff County that were badly damaged from hail back on last Saturday. So in the short term, we actually still should see some precipitation chances across a lot of the state. Now, keep in mind, models do tend to struggle with convection in the summer. So some places we'll see maybe a little bit less than this. Some places could see considerably more precipitation than this. Moving forward into the next week, it looks like we will see, I think we're probably getting about done with the seasonally cool conditions, but I think we're just looking at or maybe slightly above normal temperatures here the next week or so. Precipitation looks like we actually are, maybe going to see some continued chances of rain going into the next week. The models have been fairly consistent in showing precipitation across most of the state for the next 7 to 10 days. This is not looking like maybe as much rain as we had into June, early July, especially for parts of southeast Nebraska. But again, continued chances of moisture, which should be good at helping with the drought. 8 to 14 days, so getting closer to the end of the month, and kind of continuing into the now we're starting into pollination time here for corn, getting important time for soybeans. So again, I think we're going to be maybe at or slightly above seasonal norms as we move through most of the month. But I think the good news is I think we're going to avoid the worst of the extreme heat. That looks to be staying mostly into Texas, Oklahoma, and into the western part of the country. And for precipitation, it looks like we have maybe some chances of higher averages of precipitation across western part of Nebraska, and relatively average elsewhere. And that's it for this week. Back to you, Bryce.